A group of thieves in a Marathi style steal a huge amount of gold from a gang, which can be said to be a robbery. But after doing this, they start playing another level game. In short, if you want to destroy your head with twist after twist, then watch the movie released in 2003, The Italian Job's Explanation. So let's start today's movie explanation without further ado. At the beginning of the movie, we see an old man walking on the streets of Venice, Italy. The man named John calls his wife Stella and tells her that he is sending a gift for her. When Stella finds out that her father is currently in Venice, Italy, she gets shocked. Why? Because if John goes anywhere, then Stella knows very well why he has gone there. John is a notorious safecracker. That is, he can break any lock of the world without fail. And because of this trick of his, he has been stealing things from various lockers with a gang for many days. Stella understands that John has gone to steal something in Italy. So Stella tells him, "Dad, you said you wouldn't do all this." Then John says this is his last warning, and after this, he will never do this kind of thing again. After talking to Stella, John meets Charlie, who is with him in this situation. In short, a few days ago, a large bank was robbed in Italy, where about $35 million worth of gold was stolen. And the information about where the thieves had hidden the gold bars was in the hands of John and Charlie. So the two of them are now planning to rob the thieves. That is, they are planning how to steal the gold from the safe lockers of the thieves. For this, John and his companions are now in Venice, Italy. They also have Leftyar and Rob in this team. Leftyar is an explosive expert. That is, he can make a bomb in front of the eye. And Rob is an expert diver, who can start from the boat and drive to the plane. For them, Napster was waiting on the boat, who is a level hacker. That is, everyone in this gang was some kind of an expert. After everyone got together on a boat, they go to the same building by boat, where those gold bars were hidden. But Steve, who was with them, had entered that building earlier, whose job was to keep everything under control before the operation. Steve had scanned the whole building with X-ray scanning. He knew where the thieves had kept the locker, so Steve sent those details to Napster. Napster used his technical knowledge to figure out where to put their explosives. According to Napster's instructions, Steve and Leftyar are under the same building, and under the lower tunnel of the building, they make a bomb like a painting. Then they fit the explosive there. With the loud sound of triggering, the same locker falls down. At the same time, the boat at the top falls down, with the same sound of explosion. But at that time, Rob gives his boat a start. In the same boat, there was a locker in the same place. The guards think that Rob is running away with the locker, so the guards start chasing them with their boats. But the real locker was under the water. John and Charlie went under the water wearing diving suits to open it. That was their master plan. They knew that the thieves would take the boat from the fake locker, and that's how they set up the plan. And finally, that plan was successful, because John did not take all the steps of the locker, which was under the water for a month. On the other hand, because of Rob's great boat diving, the thieves and the police of Venice could not escape together. Brother, by looking at Rob's boat ride, it seems that he is a standmaster. On the other hand, John and Charlie also took all the steps at that time. After such a big blow, John also continues to celebrate it. They were wondering what they would do with this part of the boat, but none of them knew that the boat was so far away from them. There was no work to do. After the celebration, when everyone was returning in the same car, then Rob suddenly stopped in the middle of the road. He saw a car and started driving his own car. Then some people came from somewhere. He pointed a gun at their car and got behind the car. He attacked everyone in the same way. Steve also pointed a gun at Rob's head. Seeing this, everyone realized that Steve was actually the enemy of the house. He had planned to tear down all the houses. John woke up after seeing such a terrible thing. "Steve, you can't run around with this house for a long time, because we will catch you." Steve then said, "Yes, I know this very well." After saying this, he suddenly started shooting at people. Once the bullets hit John's stomach, that's where it ends. Rob, who was sitting in the driver's seat, then without worrying about anything else, the car went straight ahead. Then, breaking the bridge railing, that car went down the river with everyone. From above, Steve and his people were shooting at that stupid car. Rob, Charlie, and Lefty, who were sitting inside the car. They split the oxygen mugs among themselves and threw them away. Finally, when John's body got up, Steve didn't think that the rest would be caught very soon, so he left with his own people with the weapons. But Steve's decision was not right at once. Because of the oxygen mugs, Charlie and his companions were all saved, if John was killed in the same spot by Steve's bullets. So, his death is more painful than losing a weapon to them. Then, this incident is almost a year later. It can be seen that John's daughter Stella is now a professional safecracker. Even though Stella sold her father's business, she didn't do anything illegal like her father, and her job was to check the safety of the vaults and lockers of various banks and companies. One day after returning from work, Charlie suddenly came to see her. At first, Stella was a little upset to see Charlie, because after John's death, Stella had forbidden Charlie to come in front of her. But then Charlie came to see her again, because this time, she has come to such a place that may shake Stella completely. Charlie knows that Steve is now living in Philadelphia under his own name. After stealing the vaults, he has now become a millionaire overnight, and he has made arrangements for security by spending a lot of money to protect the vaults he cares about. Charlie tells Stella everything in the hope that maybe Stella will agree to take revenge on Steve. But Stella clearly knows that she doesn't want to get into any more trouble. Charlie tries to convince her, but Stella says she has moved on from all this. So it would be good if Charlie forgets all this. Before Charlie leaves, he says goodbye to Stella. But even if Stella turned Charlie like this, he could not get rid of his father's death. So thinking about it, he changed his decision at one point. Then in the night, Stella calls Charlie and says that he is ready to take revenge on Steve, and he will do everything to make Steve famous on the street. After Stella agrees, Charlie again sends everyone in the gang to one place. Before that, everyone again joins Steve's mission to take revenge, because everyone was very angry with Steve for the death of John and for stealing the vaults they had suffered. After everyone in the gang agrees, Charlie introduces Stella to everyone. Then Charlie plans his master plan. He plans that if Steve goes anywhere other than his house, he will take revenge on him at this time. For this, Charlie first takes everyone and starts keeping an eye on Steve's house. They can see that Steve has hidden the vaults in his house with a lot of security. But why is there so much security? All this is useless for this gang. So they are waiting for the right time that when Steve will go out and loot them all together. Charlie can understand that a blueprint of Steve's house will be needed to know the location of this vault. Therefore, it is not the principle to send someone to Steve's house to check the cable. It is not the principle to send someone to Steve's house to check the cable. The main purpose was to cut the cable connection in Steve's house and send someone inside. For this, Charlie does not sell Stella, because Steve does not know only Stella among them. Hearing this, Stella also agrees to do this. For this, as in the story of Charlie, Rob goes and meets a cable operator. With his own charisma, he opens the door and Rob takes the key to his car. After making a key with that key, Rob is able to steal the service car, and he gives the car to Stella. After this, just like a cable operator, Stella gets ready to go to Steve's house in a dress. Charlie had previously sent the left ear and cut the cable connection of Steve's house. So when Steve sees that his house's TV or Wi-Fi does not work with any connection, then he calls the cable company and asks a technician to send it. With the help of Napster, Charlie does not hack the phone of the cable operator's manager. Then he calls Steve's security officer and informs him that one of their technicians has completed his work before bedtime, so he will now go to Steve's house for work. After informing the security guard, Charlie puts a camera on Stella's shirt and sends her to Steve's house with the help of a cable operator. At first, Steve's dogs attack Stella's car, but Steve wants to take Stella inside by releasing the dogs. Stella sees that Steve has sold a large part of the stolen goods and decorated his own house in a very luxurious way. After seeing everything with the camera in Stella's pocket, Charlie's gang's head is completely ruined. With the money in front of them, is Steve living in a royal palace? Just like Stella, after entering Steve's house, breaks all the cables and keeps recording everything at home. On the other hand, Steve was again a little arrogant, so he starts floating with Stella in it. In this floating of Steve, even if Stella is very angry, she is forced to listen to all this for work. Finally, when Stella tries to fix Steve's TV, Charlie's left ear cables get stuck. As a result, Steve does not think that Stella has fixed his TV. Finally, when Stella goes to say goodbye to Steve, Steve starts floating with her again. Now he offers Stella to have dinner with him directly. Even if Stella refuses at first, She thinks that if she can take Steve to dinner, it will be easier for her to steal Charlie's head. And even if she says yes directly, she comes with a song to convince Steve. After bringing all the video blueprints of Stella and Steve's house, Charlie's story begins to distill everything inside the Napster in the house. According to the same analysis, they have sold a few cars that can enter through the hallway of Steve's house. But after a test drive, they realize that they have to make some modifications to the cars to drive with so much weight. For this, Rob brings a friend who was a car mechanic in Tokore. In the name of range, the same person has to pay $10,000 to make the cars weigh 775 tons. On the other hand, the Napster does not hack all the traffic signals in that area according to Steve's plan. That is, if they want now, they can use this computer to control all the traffic signals in the area. The purpose of doing this is to control traffic as per their convenience on the day of the theft of the house, so that they can escape after doing all this. Bro, you can understand how much expert this gang is in stealing. After modifying the cars and hacking the traffic system, they are now fully ready for the theft. On the other hand, Steve had sold his house to a man named Yavin for so long. Just like every time, again Steve went to sell gold to him. Yavin told him that he heard rumors about this gold bar. He realized that these houses were looted from Venice, Italy, because an Italian dancer's picture was dug on them. After hearing this, Steve's mind goes completely bad. Now, when these people realize that these houses were looted from Venice, then he might be able to give the police information. So Steve, without thinking anything else, shoots Yavin and sends him upstairs. Sometime after Yavin's death, his cousin Muskov came there and saw that someone had killed his beloved cousin like a dog. Muskov then starts this incident to prevent his brother's death. On the other hand, Charlie and Lefty go to a small arms dealer named Skinny PT to buy some explosives, because if they want to enter Steve's house, they have to blast the strong gate of the house, for which they need a lot of explosives. Skinny also agrees to supply the explosives as they said. But after making a deal with Charlie, he was talking to one person about Steve's gold, because he heard that Charlie was planning to steal this gold. Besides this, Yavin's brother Muskov is now known for Skinny PT to prevent Yavin's death. First, Skinny PT, who was talking to someone, afraid of him, Muskov takes Skinny PT's address from Tarkus. Then Muskov goes to that place and comes in front of him. Then he sees him and throws Skinny's fat man in fear. On the other hand, Charlie is busy stealing gold from Steve's house. According to their plan, Stella agreed to go to detail with Steve. And for this, Steve booked a reservation that night. After Steve leaves his house, Charlie rushes to Steve's house. But wherever they go, their heads turn upside down. There was a party going on in Steve's house at that time. Now, there is no way to blast the gate of this house in this situation, because everyone will come here after hearing the word of the world. So Charlie has to cancel all his plans. On the other hand, Stella has to go to detail with Steve. Stella's conversation with Steve was going on well, but all of a sudden Steve offers to spend the night with her. Stella doesn't agree to this, and then she says something that Steve is shocked. Stella says, "I trust people, but I don't trust the demons in people." Steve knows this dialogue she says, because he doesn't deserve her. Steve then comes and says that he has lost to Charlie before, and now he can't do anything to her, because now he has a lot of high security, who gives him mountains all the time. After saying all this, he again started laughing at Charlie. Charlie can't hold his hand now, so now he puts a deadly punch in his face. And then he says, "I'll see you." Charlie doesn't say goodbye from there. Now I have a small tip for you. You don't have to plan like Charlie to make money. Charlie found out that Steve was taking his gold reserve elsewhere, because he was renting an armed truck, some people in a helicopter. Charlie then told everyone that this is the best source of gold in their hands. He told Napster to block all traffic signals in the city and keep only one way open, when Steve's truck will only have to go that way due to traffic jam. Then from there, Charlie will wait with his own armed truck, and then he will destroy all the traffic lights. But after planning so much, Charlie suddenly gets a call from Skinny Peter. He tells him on the phone that Yavin's cousin Moskov is looking for Charlie, because he thought that Charlie killed Yavin. Then Charlie tells him to do a favor for him, which we will know in the next episode. After setting all the plans, Charlie selects a truck and tells the mechanic ranger to modify the truck. Now the ranger officially joins the gang. On the other hand, Charlie takes his left arm and shoots an explosive under the road. Charlie was planning to take Steve's car on the same road. After setting all the plans, Charlie tells everyone to stay in position. Then they see that Steve's people are coming with 3 trucks at the same time. It means that Steve played a game to throw Charlie's money here too. But Charlie is no less. He tells Napster to measure the height of the tires with a hacking traffic camera. Then it is seen that the tire of the 188 number truck is a few centimeters higher than the other 3 truck tires. It means that 2,700 pounds of gold is in that truck. The tire of the truck has given so much in their load. By the way, Napster is also a technical genius like Charlie. Like Charlie, now he starts reading all the traffic signals in the city. The ranger stops all the cars on the road at this signal. Everyone in the control room can't understand what's going on. Now all the roads in that area are jammed because of this traffic signal. On the other hand, Steve understands that all this is Charlie's plan. Now Napster opens a road like Charlie's words, and he shoots an explosive under that road. On the other hand, Charlie and his 3 cars were waiting to enter that tunnel. Now Napster doesn't even hack the underground metro control panel, and he gives green signal to Charlie to go to the tunnel on the same road. Charlie, Stella, and Rob enter their cars towards the metro station only to get their signal. They drive the cars in such a way that everyone around them gets scared and goes that way. Finally, they have to enter the tunnel through a metro rail through a stand. Then Napster stops the metro train, because of which no one else can enter that tunnel. That is, no one else will be able to come there to catch Charlie. After closing the road like this, Steve's tractor reaches the tunnel by giving a range signal from above. To know when the tractor will come there, Charlie had kept the ranger above. That means this Charlie is a mastermind, 1910 to 1922. And according to his plan, when the tractor comes there, he gets the signal from the ranger. He blasts the explosive on the left. Along with this, a huge cloud is formed on the road above with a huge cloud, 1923 to 1934. And with that cloud, the tractor actually comes down. Charlie was waiting for this for so long. After opening the door of the tractor, Stella sees that Steve has changed the locker in front of her, 1934 to 1949. That is, the information they had about the locker was not this locker, so it may take more time to open this locker. From above, like keeping an eye on the helicopter, when Steve sees that his tractor has disappeared in front of his eyes, he goes crazy. 1950 to 2003. Steve's people tell him that Charlie blasted the road and threw the tractor down. Hearing this, Steve rushes into the tunnel of their people. On the other hand, Charlie takes Stella to look for that golden bolt. Stella knows that this bolt is protected by a glass plate. Now, if the glass breaks somehow while drilling and opening the lock, then he will come with a steel rod from above and close the lock completely. After hearing all this, he has to drill Stella on that locker with a huge rake. But after drilling a little bit, Stella realizes that she has started to break the glass inside. If the glass does not break completely, then the steel rod will not close the lock completely. So now it is possible to open this locker by hand. Stella now starts to open the lock by turning the wheel of the locker in her hand. But after turning the wheel for a while, she leaves the rake and says that this lock cannot be opened for her. But Charlie encourages her from the side. And Stella, thinking about her father's story, takes a sharp step in her mind. Then finally Stella is able to open the locker. Looking at the gold bars inside, everyone can't help but be happy. Although Steve had sold a lot, there were still about 208 gold bars here, the price of which is about $7 million. Charlie, Rob, and Lefty start loading the gold bars into the car. On the other hand, Steve sends 2 people on a motorcycle to enter the tunnel in another way. But by the time they enter the tunnel, Charlie has loaded the gold bars and started the car. Then a deadly race begins between the 2 teams. With this tunnel, Charlie, Rob, and Stella drive the car in such a way that it was like a show. Like Rob, Charlie and Stella were also a deadly driver, which can be understood by seeing the scene. The people behind them on the motorcycle somehow start shooting at them without catching them. Now Rob throws a motorcycle to the ground with his ninja technique. Even if the person is half dead and lying in the tunnel, the other person starts chasing Charlie. At the very end, everyone comes out of the tunnel and comes to a water dam. Then their cars crash into each other. After that, Rob finishes the rest of the motorcycles with a bang. Now there is no one left behind them. So they come to the main road with their cars without any worries. But the main culprit, Steve, was still chasing them with a helicopter from above. Charlie now tells Rob and Stella to go the other way and puts the car in a separate way so that he can fool Steve. Steve also sees all this and chases Charlie and drives the helicopter in a very dangerous way. Steve finally puts the car under a flyover with a deadly drift, but there are a lot of cars parked there, so it is very difficult for him to drive his own car. Then Steve comes with his own helicopter. These people are so deadly that they put a helicopter in a ditch. Now Charlie tries to get out, but Steve's helicopter keeps blocking his way. Then Charlie jumps out of his car and risks his life and breaks the radar behind the helicopter. Brother, this scene was the best scene of this movie. As the rotor breaks on this side, the helicopter can't fly anymore. So Charlie runs away with the car. At the same time, Steve also takes a car from the car and chases Charlie. While driving Charlie's car, he enters a garage by crossing the rail line. Then behind him, Steve also comes there. Rob's friend Range takes care of that garage. Now Steve doesn't know that Range is with Charlie, so he offers some money to that Range and tells him to see Charlie's car in his garage. As a result, Range also breaks the door and opens the door. But Charlie and his friends were waiting behind that door. That is, bringing Steve here was also part of Charlie's plan. Charlie now tells Steve, "You snatched our gold at one time, and now we have acquired them. Now you have nothing but a fork in the road." After saying this, Steve points a pistol at Charlie. But then from behind, Maskov comes with his gang and takes Steve's pistol. When Steve asks Maskov, "Who is he?" Then Maskov says, "I am that Yavon's cousin, whom you sent upstairs." Hearing this, Steve is in a terrible situation. So then he tries to buy Maskov by looking at his shirt. But Maskov says by looking at a suitcase that he has already made a deal. That is, this time, Steve's game is finally over. A terrible scene is seen in Maskov's eyes, because Steve killed his cousin. Actually, when we saw Charlie asking Skinny Pete for a favor in the previous scene, it was the same favor. Skinny Pete, like Charlie, had convinced Maskov that Steve was Yavon's murderer, and then Maskov becomes Charlie's partner. Next to Maskov, Stella was Steve's enemy, and you all know the reason. Stella kills Steve with a knife in the face of her father's death. Then Maskov tells Steve, "I won't kill you so easily. We will take you to our warehouse, where they will be tortured with various small tools." That is, Maskov wants to kill Steve directly. Sure thing. Here is a slightly longer response. "Hi all my friends. I hope you enjoyed my movie explanation. Your support means a lot to me, so please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share the video introduction. Thank you.